you're either persuaded by arguments or you're not persuaded. So I'm not making exchanges. It's not about my credibility or your credibility. It's about what kind of argument you make, and you're not making an argument. You're just poo-pooing, as they say. You're just naysaying and nitpicking and snarky commenting, but you're not making an argument. No, well, you really haven't made arguments, Remy. I mean, most of your arguments just have to do with somehow saying there's no argument. Like I said, you just disqualify the existence of the evaluate. Well, it's not bullshit. You basically said utilitarianism isn't relevant. So right there, you conceded the argument. Your argument is that there's nothing to argue, because the nature of utilitarianism is to define the parameters of value, and so you're saying that the values don't exist. Again, we're back to that root. I mean, it's the same argument that I've had with the modern mystic. I can't argue. There's no conversation if we can't agree on those premises, those fundamental. This is the root of the game. I keep arguing that, but this is it. If you don't get this right, then there's no conversation. And if you can't look at the rat maze and concede that there's a value equation about whether this thing is functioning or not, whether it's worth maintaining. I mean, it's like I mean, there was an argument somebody made that I really wanted to argue with, and I haven't gotten to it yet, so I'll do it now. But I've used this Frankenstein metaphor just this week, just for the fun of it. And I just fell into it, so there's a lot of Frankenstein talk. And so what would be, my argument to you would be, well, what's the fair thing to do? So what if you have Frankenstein? All right, you've captured Frankenstein, and you've got the monster. Now what do? Do you cage the poor thing, or do you kill the thing? I mean, what's the humane thing to do? Put Frankenstein out of his immortal, horrible life, or do you put him in a zoo somewhere and torture and torment him for 1,000,000 years?
Sigourney Weaver in Aliens 4.
Wait, the aliens are going to be like geriatric, like aliens steal her Pampers or something? What is Sigourney? She's like what, 75 now or something? 96? I mean, she's getting pretty old. She's going to beat the aliens with a cane. Well, I don't even know what that is. I have no idea what the hell you're asking me. Who are you talking to with that? I mean, it's a simple question. What do you do with Frankenstein? You've captured him. What do you do with him? You can't train him. You can't reconstruct him. He's going to be Frankenstein. So what do you do? What do you do with the rabid, crazy Frankenstein?
All right, when you're doing, one of the things I do as a project manager is come up with risk analysis or risk management and mitigation scenarios, and we deal with things called hypotheticals. So here's a hypothetical for you. Who would you trust? Who would you be more likely to trust with the administration and stewardship of this planet, this species? The metaphorical nature, Gaia, or whatever you want to call her, or Dr. Frankenstein? Over to you.
Well, Dr. Frankenstein, just because he's actually learned his lesson, right? Sort of. I mean, he kind of said, "Oh, holy fuck, that was a big mistake." You know, I got to be really careful playing with this life thing. Yeah, look, Dr. Frankenstein was a jerk and an idiot and an egomaniac, but I mean, his intentions were sort of good. But yeah, he was just, he just applied them poorly. Exercised some bad judgment there.
Plus, he graduated med school.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to go with something with a brain is better than something without one. So there's some hope. But yeah, whatever, Remy, you want to put a bunch of little qualifiers on it. Yeah, well, obviously Frankenstein is dangerous if you let him loose again. But the point is, he's going to not be happy. You can't create an environment that's going to make Frankenstein happy. So he's going to be unhappy. So do you keep him in unhappy, tormented captivity, or do you kill him? Well, whatever. So that's basically the point I'm making is that, the Frankenstein that is the human race, we should put it humanely out of its misery before it does any real fucking harm. Before it slowly kills billions and billions and billions of people, over the next 10,000 years. I mean, if we really are going for the hard reality, The Postman is like, I think, a good nuclear winter type movie. So go watch The Postman and go see what life would be like for the human race. And just imagine the human race caught in that world for 50,000 years or more. Where everybody's got AK-47s, but they don't have enough bullets. But they got enough machetes and other little weapons of small destruction to just keep hacking at each other for thousands of years in their little radioactive, everybody's a little bit sick and unhealthy world. Just how much fun that would be. Like, your big accomplishment is, we mailed a letter. Oh, wow, look how civilized we are. We mailed a letter. Wow, we're really making progress.
Okay, so just to riff a little, boy, this guy undefined, he just won't stop. Just to riff a little bit more off the Dr. Frankenstein theme. I mean, we're really coming into the age of biotechnology where, well, it could go one of two ways or both ways. I mean, we could re-engineer the super species, the Superman, so to speak, or we could quite literally create a Frankenstein nightmare. So here's the thing. I mean, we decoded the human genome. I forget when that was done, quite a few years ago. So now we have this map to the entire DNA. And now scientists are starting to tinker with it, and they're starting to adjust this and adjust that. And one of the things, and of course this is all being sold to us as being in our best interest, right? I mean, for example...
Well, some of it is... Look, let's not get hysterical about something. There's obviously pro-potential here, okay? We could find out what gene sequence controls the fact that there are certain people on planet Earth right now who are immune to HIV. We maybe can find a million little a sequence of genes, and we could pull those out of that, and we could splice them into people as they're being born. I mean, as they're at conception or as a zygote. Introduce that sequence of genes and then create people that would be immune to HIV. I mean, why would that be a bad thing? So obviously that's a positive thing. So obviously it can get out of control. Obviously things can go wacky and bad. But I'm just saying that but that's true of any single technology. You could blow up buildings with a gasoline bomb, and gasoline's been around a long time. And yeah, so things can be done for good reason, and things can be done badly, and they can be done carefully, and they can be done uncarefully. You can do nuclear power plants that work perfectly fine and are almost fail-safe, or you can make sloppy nuclear power plants. I mean, so I'm just saying, let's not get onto the subject of whether or not it's viable or useful technology, because it certainly could be. Now, if we do it wrong, and we do it sloppy and unregulated and for capital interest, well, then it's going to turn to shit, and it's just going to make us all want to eat more potato chips or something.
Yeah, you were kind of arguing the point that I was going to get to. Sorry, this undefined guy again. Keeps making me lose my train of thought. Darn it. Okay, yeah. So, but starting out more simply, I agree with everything that you say, and I think that those would definitely be advantages for people. But just let's start out at a more basic level. Uh, Now, as you know, there are dominant genes and there are recessive genes. So, let's say if any uh, man or woman in this room carries the recessive genes for multiple sclerosis or Tay-Sachs disease, and they mate and they have a baby, that baby is going to have that disease. Okay, that's a proven fact. So now that we've decoded the human genome and we can screen for this type of thing, let's say James 22 and Bella uh, go into this genetic screening uh, company, and they say, we want to, we want to get married, we want to have a baby, and can you tell us what's going to happen? And so they rub the Q-tip on the roof of their mouth, each of them. They run it through the genealyzer, and they say, oh, guess what? You both carry the gene for Down syndrome, and if you guys have a baby, there's a 90% chance that your baby is going to have Down syndrome. Now then, here's my question. Here's the ethical and moral question. If they go ahead and have that baby, what are people in society going to say? Are they going to say, "Oh, that's too bad"? Let's here's you know here's some financial largesse to help you care for that child, or are
What?
they going to say what you did was irresponsible because you knew in advance you shouldn't have this child? So I'm starting out at a very basic level. I can see this coming to the forefront of a socio-political discussion very soon. So
Well,
I'm
it
just
already
wondering, would you?
exists now. I mean, I don't see that's, I don't know why you do all this whole big, long, dragged out story for this. I mean,
Oh,
people have
sorry.
been making these decisions for years now, decades. We've known about these genetic connections to diseases, and people have deliberately had children knowing they're going to come out.
Deliberately.
Yeah, it's deliberately. Okay, there's midgets have midgets on purpose. They know that their kids are going to have horrible surgeries and a lot of other things because of their dwarfism. And they do it on purpose. And then there's one with the claw hands, and she knew she had a 50-50 chance that her kid was going to have claw hands. And she did it willfully and deliberately. She took the fucking risk. And I'm just saying those people, in my opinion, are assholes. Maybe society's not going to call them an asshole, but I'm certainly willing to call them big fucking fat jackass assholes. Well, not fat, but you know what I'm saying. They're assholes. They're fucking assholes. They have no right to impose life, even even unless they can create a perfect circumstance for it. But when they deliberately and willfully do it on purpose, knowing that the kid is going to be substantially compromised, they're just being fucking assholes.
Okay, I mean maybe I don't know. You're more insinuated with the literature than I am. I thought that the the exponential growth in genetic knowledge and biological knowledge and research was something has only recently given rise to this
Well, no,
state
I
of
mean they've
affairs.
had amniocentesis for like 30 years now, maybe even longer. So they've been able to detect in uterus.
Amniocentesis.
Yeah, they've been able to detect some, some gross retarded, gross deformations pretty early on in pregnancy for quite a while.
Okay, I'm not quite ready to turn loose of the argument quite yet. Let me use a movie metaphor, Gattaca, where in the future, I don't know how many of you have seen Gattaca, but it describes a future world where people uh, are produced through genetic screening, and people who were not produced through this genetic screening lack opportunities, employment opportunities, opportunities in every aspect. So uh, it seems to me like we're moving closer to this kind of a future scenario where genetic screening